Welcome everyone to the Vermin Sermon. Today, again, we have another extremely special guest, CraptasticJack. Will you please introduce yourself?
Well, you're right about the extremely special part. I mean, knowing me.
Yeah, that where we're going.
But yeah,
Got him.
yeah. Howdy, hi ho, everyone. You may know me. I'm a Need for Speed YouTuber, Twitch streamer, and I'm also a radio host. I'm a rock radio host on Truckers.fm every Saturday and Sunday or Monday at 2 a.m. GMT time. You can find me playing a lot of rock music and everything, as well as on WXLV Schnecksville, an iHeart radio station. You can find me DJing there on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. So yeah.
What do you know?
Talk your shit, boy. He sounds official. It's crazy.
That was my radio voice. That was my radio presenter
Oh yeah, I
voice.
can tell. It's cool. I
All right.
like that.
Up next, we got some System of a Down for you guys. I got some tickets to go see Green Day live at the PPL Center in Allentown coming up in
Okay.
just a little bit.
All right, let's.
I'm honestly.
But you will say they're the face for radio, so yeah.
My friends
That'd
always
be
say that.
ridiculous.
So,
Face radio.
So, we have a few topics today. Most people, I would not say most, but some people know that CJ has been a long-term fan of Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I actually admire that you have stuck to your opinion for so long, because I feel like a lot of people are, oh man, I hate Payback so much. Man, even this game was better. Even, people have this very
Yeah.
reactionary thing. But I would believe it if you said, oh, even Most Wanted 2012 was better than Payback, because you actually held that opinion, or held to that opinion, and you actually have reasons for it, and I appreciate that. But,
yeah.
I obviously have a very different view of Most Wanted 2012, and I think it'd be really interesting to kind of, not have this be a debate, but more so I give my points as to why I think this is the way it is. You give your points. The other guys, we can all contribute, and then just talk about it. Interject whatever. So there you go. So yeah, go ahead and kind of explain in general, like the very basic things about Most Wanted 2012 that you like.
All right. So, I mean, I guess for some context, we'll go back all the way to the year 2003, 2002. It's when I first started playing Need for Speed. I grew up playing the original, like the classics. Like, I grew up playing Need for Speed 2, Hot Pursuit 2, and all that. Like, I grew up playing those types of games. I eventually made my way to, like, the underground games, Most Wanted. Well, first time I got Most Wanted, my parents took it back because of rated for teen. I was only 6 years old, but later down the road, we got around to the original
Oh my
Most
gosh.
Wanted, Carbon, and all that. But like for as long as I can remember, even like second grade, talking to kids in school about like Need for Speed Carbon and everything. Like I've been a fan long term, and going into like say 2010, 2011, 2012 era. I was kind of like isolated, I wasn't
Oh,
really
why?
doing. I was doing YouTube, but as like a Lego stop motion content creator. So
Hey,
yeah, but
nothing
when
to
it
be
came to
ashamed
like,
of.
hey, yeah, exactly. No,
Why'd you
coming up on 10
Part
years.
to add to that. Part to add to that story, because Div, you know your Twitter app. How
Yeah.
not?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Harken back.
Wow,
Yeah.
we've gone full
Right now.
circle
Oh,
now.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's a great
Forgot about
story.
that. Yeah, there you
back
go.
to- back-
CJ is the inspiration for my Twitter handle. Actually,
Back to those days. Yikes. Yikes. Captain. But anyway, going back to like 2010, 2011, 2012, I was a very isolated when it came to my love of Need for Speed. None of my friends that I grew up playing with played Need for Speed. They were all in the Call of Duty, other games that I didn't have. And I was really the only one who was like excited when a new Need for Speed was being announced and everything. And like throughout middle school, that was kind of like my position. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have anyone to play it with. So I kind of signed up for this website back in the day called World Garage. And I just started adding a bunch of people on PSN who played Need for Speed Most Wanted and Hot Pursuit and everything. And then Most Wanted came out, and I haven't been a fan of like the original racing, like the Need for Speed games, like Hot Pursuit. I love the run as well. I was super excited for Most Wanted, and at the time, I really did not care. I was more so like a child in a way,
Mhm.
more so like, hey, like I don't really care about like the Stance Nation and its tuning stuff. I just care about
Yeah.
exotics and like cool looking cars
Yeah,
and
that's
fun gameplay.
Mhm.
Yeah. like I feel like even as a kid, like I could like at 12 I could still tell when a game was like Donkey Doodle and when it wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
So like yeah, when it came to like Most Wanted 2012 and just having that friends list of people there was always be people I'd be talking with saying like, hey, like I'm gonna beat your score, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna rank you up, because you know you had that this was like Autolog was a big thing. They called it Autolog 2.0 back in the day. I think we're on to like
2.0.
Autolog like 12.7 at this point. But no, Autolog 2.0 for Most Wanted 2012, they basically had a Most Wanted list, but the Most Wanted list was replaced with your friends, which I think is something they should bring back to Need for Speeds to this day.
Actually, yeah.
Have like a Most Wanted list of your friends, like a big ass leaderboard to see like who's the biggest in the city. And I would always try and like I would keep working my way up to like overtake someone, you know. That was kind of like my goal. Like every day I'd come home from school and I'd log on to a Most Wanted, grind a bunch of races out, and then try and get to like the next step, you know. And I guess my main reason, like that's probably the main hook of Most Wanted 2012. That was the main thing that kind of kept me coming back and kept me enjoying the game. Because I really didn't play the multiplayer. I actually don't like the multiplayer. A lot of people say, a lot of people who talk about Most Wanted 2012, they hate the game, but they love the multiplayer. I'm like the complete opposite. I love the game, but I hate the multiplayer.
Okay, I'll get into that later, but yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, but like it was mainly just me. Kind of like, again, I guess it was like a product more so of loneliness, just sitting alone, overtaking people's scores, and like trying to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
You know, and also being a 12-year-old kid, I would kind of like not really role play, but I come up with like my own stories. The lack of a story in that game kind of created these own stories that I would have, like these own campaigns and everything. Like I would create separate PSN accounts just so I could like redo the story with my own campaign in mind.
Oh, okay, that's actually interesting.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, so like I would do that type of stuff too, and just really when it came down to it, like a lot of people even to this day, even if they don't like the game, as long as they're not like 100% biased, they'll point to Most Wanted 2012 and say, yeah, like I don't like this game, but there's a lot of quality aspects about this game, especially with how quality, like the quality of how it was built, the fact that there's not any bugs or glitches or anything, the map's pretty all right. Like there's a lot of aspects of that game that you like. The game was polished for one thing, and the racing felt fun in my opinion.
Agree.
Like I liked the physics,
well.
it felt fun, and you know, like say we got Most Wanted 2012, but the physics were like 2015's. I would I probably would not have liked. I probably would not have liked Most Wanted 2012 as much as I did there. Like when I play Most Wanted 2012, especially like from the perspective of a 12-year-old in 2012, it's a fun ass game. Like for me, it's super fun. It's a game I looked forward to playing every time coming home from school. It's a game I would talk to random people in my class about, people who would go, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like I was like,
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I remember I talked to this girl one time. And like, oh, and I'm like, "Hey, did you see the Most Wanted 2012 trailer?" No.
This man
Bruh,
went up to girls
That's
and talked to them about Most Wanted 2012. Wow.
Making moves.
That's actually king shit, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Did you?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to say very briefly before I actually get into it, I can relate to the whole, like I was the only guy who was ever, into racing games and whatnot. Growing up, I've always been around super small classes and everything, so I would have no one, like literally no one who would share the same interest, even just with cars. There'd be, I think 1 year, in 4th grade, I want to say, there was one person that I knew that was a car enthusiast, and after he left, then it was just back to like, well, here we go again. Like I had a bunch of friends, but like one of them, like half of them are always super into sports, which is respectable, fine, do your thing, cool. One of them had just, well, really cycled through a variety of different kind of phases, and but one of them was never cars, so
Oh, sadly, it's like you went through everything but what I like. Bro, please.
Yeah, and obviously with me, it really never was a phase. It was just what I liked and was into personally.
Yeah, exactly.
But, going back to the whole thing about seeing people on your leaderboards and whatnot. So I have a really bizarre kind of way of that, or a bizarre take on that experience. So growing up, I did not have many friends on PSN at all. I had a PS3, and you want to know why? Dude, it's hilarious. I once got in trouble because someone saw me messaging someone online and was like, "Dude, he's messaging people online. He's gonna get
Oh,
like
no.
whatever." And I was like, "What?
Stranger
There's nothing
danger."
wrong. There's nothing like."
Oh no.
And so after that, I couldn't message people online. Like it wasn't allowed or
Bruh.
whatever. That was
Bruh.
hilarious. Oh my gosh. So like, my
Wow.
one chance spoiled. The other time I had a friend on PSN. Oh, you're gonna laugh. It was because we were playing Little Big Planet, and then we were both like 11 at this point. We both had to get permission to be add each other as friends on PSN.
That's cursed.
It absolutely cursed.
Big Planet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I also think my microphone might be a bit too loud. Just looking at the audio, I'll have to look into that later. But in
You know
any
one
case,
thing?
man,
Yes, it's hilarious.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but when CJ says the leaderboard thing, that's how 2015 was for me. Peak
Yeah,
performance,
yeah.
maximum
That
attack,
game was
all that
sweaty.
shit.
That game
Yeah.
was sweaty.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
Max Attack?
That's how I like it,
Oh,
baby.
Oh.
7
Oh my God. What was it? Max
hours.
Attack? Steelio, what was the one? It was you, me, Cam, and Niner.
Peak
What was
performance.
the race?
Peak
Peak
performance.
performance,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Peak performance. That was
Oh,
sweaty
man.
cunt our ass. I got to like a 26. It was like vile as
Bro.
fuck. I nearly missed an exam because I was playing.
Violation. Violation right there.
I nearly missed. I came to my exam like 3 minutes late. Luckily, they have like a 10-minute buffer where you can like sit down. But yeah,
Oh wow.
Oh.
That is
gotta
wild.
get close.
Dang. All right.
Well,
So
those were the days.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and but going back to the whole leaderboard thing. So now, with friends on Origin and whatever, I've been playing a lot of Burnout Paradise Remastered, and for the first time, I'm seeing online time road rules actually be someone instead of just the fake AI thing that it gives you to beat
Oh,
in order
yeah.
for the achievement and
Yeah.
whatever. So that was so disorientating for me. I was like, wait, oh yeah, I have other people online to compete against, and it's such a
I have
huge.
friends.
A massive thing I wish I got to experience when I was younger. I absolutely wish I did. I just
Same.
just
Would have changed a lot. In terms
weird,
of game.
terrible circumstances.
What
But
game
yeah.
I wish you know what game I wish I experienced like as a kid? Test
What?
Drive Unlimited 2 and Midnight Club LA.
Oh,
Like, I miss
yeah.
I
those
experienced
games.
Okay.
LA.
Yeah.
Honestly,
That
I with Midnight Club LA, when I experienced it as a kid, I was really, really bad, really bad, and so it was a complete struggle to finish the game. I know that the
Yeah.
game is fairly challenging and whatever, but it was
a kid.
extremely difficult when I was
Yeah.
younger. Yeah, and part of that is less so because I was a kid, and more so just because I just wasn't that good. And then I remember it happened all of a sudden. One specific day, I decided to go back to Midnight Club LA. I did some races, I lost and everything, kept freaking out. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to actually try to focus and have like a method of looking at the map to see where to go, quickly checking, looking for traffic, making subtle movements with the steering and everything to avoid traffic.
Pro
Yada,
strats.
yada, yada. Yeah, I went full sweat. For like a day, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do this. So then I replayed through MCLA, and I had to focus the whole time. If I lost focus, I would just lose that race. So I had to sweat real hard just because I just wasn't that skilled. I couldn't naturally do these things. I managed to beat the game. Whatever. That was cool. Great. Years later. My PS3 copy has some weird glitches with audio. The characters will not say anything, ever, except the audio surrounding the game will quiet down. So I was aware of when a character was talking to me, but there would be no noise. And then I checked in audio and everything. So in the settings, if I disabled voices, no. So later on I got a 360 copy because at that point I had a 360. And I also, because the PS3 version had really bad frame rate issues. Or fairly annoying frame rate issues.
I had all
So-
It did, yeah.
So-
I had on PS3 as well.
Playing it on 360 was great. I didn't really, have to deal with those issues. And then the game is such a breeze. It's actually extremely easy. Because
With a frame rate?
if you just A, that, and B, if you know what you're doing, like if you just focus a little bit, you don't have to go full sweat like I did. If you just pay attention to what's going on, it's extremely easy. You will actually never have to buy any vehicles to complete the game. You can just get the pink slips.
Yeah,
of
you can
cars
just
that
win
get.
them.
Yeah, you don't have to buy a single vehicle. I think except a bike, because there's no opportunity to win a bike.
Yeah.
But man, it's but you see, I think that's perfect difficulty. When it's easy, if you focus, but basically it's easy when you put in effort. That's what I think. That's how I would define challenging. It challenges you, right? So now the game is easy because I put effort into it. If I don't put effort into it, it's still difficult. So I think that's what makes the game challenging, and not just the AI is rubber banding, so it's hard and whatnot. You get what I'm saying? It's
Rubber
not.
banding is a weird thing though, because
Yeah.
rubber banding essentially they adjust the AI to how well he's doing. But if you start fucking making mistakes, they catch up. But if you don't, it's like it's this weird dichotomy. If you have to be perfect
Yeah. So
every lap and every corner, that's weird.
Yeah, and so it's Midnight Club. The point I'll try to make quick is that Midnight Club doesn't have cheap difficulty. It was difficult for me because I honestly I just sucked at it. But once I got a bit better at it, I think it has a perfect difficulty. But yeah, so that's a big long drawn out thing. I don't know how we went from Most Wanted 2012 to Midnight Club, but here we are.
Give me 2 minutes. I have to go downstairs real quick.
Alrighty then.
All right.
Nice. Professional
Solid.
podcast, everyone. Professional podcast. It's whatever. It's cool.
100%.
Yeah.
The number one racing game podcast.
Hey, well, actually, we can't say that because there's actually another one that exists out there. There is.
Yeah, fuck them. Wait, was it that?
Whoa.
Like,
Whoa.
I might watch them actually.
Whoa.
Wait, what are they?
Yeah. I think they
I might
are
watch
Time
that.
Extend. So shout out to
Who the
those
fuck is
guys.
Shout out to you. I don't know who you are, but hit me.
We do
No.
not condone anything negative said about our fellow racing game people.
Yeah, to be fair, in the end, I'm never gonna because we're already such a small group as it is.
Yeah, no, not a single person is gonna. Yeah, but yeah, whatever. There you go. Just putting that out there. But
Because I remember about what is it? All the like elitist sim players, like, and was it actually funny because the pretty much the poster boy for that
I'm back.
Jimmy Broadbent was like when he was playing Need for Speed Heat, and they're like, oh, Need for Speed is like, you realize we're racing game fans, right?
Need for
Yeah.
Speed Heat. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I just heard what you just said. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he's like, we're all like racing game fans. Like, we're such a small group.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are we like infighting? Like,
No idea, monkeys.
Yeah. All right. Let's get back to our kind of the main topic. So, a lot of people would draw comparisons between Burnout Paradise and Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, and I think that's why a lot of people would hold that Most Wanted 2012 is a good game as a Burnout game, but not quite as. But because it's branded as a Need for Speed game, it falls flat. And so, would you tend to agree or disagree?
I tend to disagree.
Okay.
In the middle, just depends on
fair
what
enough.
part of the game.
Okay.
My thing was, I don't know, like, I went into that game, played it, and I'm like, let me put it this way, I never bought it. I played it like one of my friends' house, I'm like, it's decent.
Okay.
I mean, for
Like,
me,
I don't think it's bad. Like, here's the thing, no bugs, no clipping issues.
exactly.
And at least it's a functioning game, I will give it that.
For me, when I played through that game, especially as a kid, I never thought to myself, "Oh, I'm playing basically a Burnout game." I always for myself, I always felt like I was playing a Need for Speed. Like,
Okay.
it's like to me, at the time, that was what Need for Speed was about. It was fast cars, cop chases, and just fun gameplay in a city. Like
That is
to me,
facts.
Yeah,
He's not wrong.
that isn't that what Need for Speed is at its core?
Kinda, yeah.
At
just don't
least,
clip in nice cars.
we could now say just because of the reboot that now its identity is about urban car culture, but this was before the reboot, so
Yeah, this was before.
You're right, and but I see that going around a lot, and my personal opinion, having both looked at Burnout and Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012, in my opinion, I think Most Wanted 2012 tried to cash in on some of Burnout's ideas, but then they failed in execution in a lot of ways. That's how I see it. And then also with the execution of other
I
things.
think it's too much of a Need for Speed game to be called a Burnout game and vice versa. It's this kind of weird own, like, love child. I was going to say love child.
I'm sad.
I'm Burnout.
Oh, man.
Like I think like the atmosphere is pretty good. The police are pretty decent. The gameplay's pretty decent. Like the streets are made for the driving compared to
Okay.
some of the Need for Speed
Yeah.
games and stuff like that. And just the whole atmosphere as a whole. So
It's just in its own league, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
then again, when it comes to Need for Speed, like Need for Speed as a series has gone in so many different directions that you
Yeah.
could say that for a lot of different games. Like Hot Pursuit and Underground are completely different games.
Absolutely.
High Stake, like, and then
Yeah.
Underground and Hot Pursuit are completely different games from Shift. Like some games try to do
Yeah,
simulation.
well,
other games
Shift
try to
is a
copy
is a
Burnout.
spin-off. Being that Shift is a spin-off, I wouldn't
Yeah.
actually consider it, but I do get what your point is.
Yeah.
And I think I do agree. But in terms of Most Wanted 2012, even being that it's fairly polished, I still think that there are so many things they did that I just it baffles me. So I
Calling it
want
Most
to
Wanted.
I want to talk about the handling model first of all. I don't think it's objectively bad, and I don't think it is because I look at the way the roads are designed, and they're fairly wide, and they give you enough room to use the brake to drift mechanic and not fumble around. If you had extremely tight city corners and everything, then I think that would be a design flaw. But
Yeah.
it's whatever. I don't personally like it, but I think I can separate that as a thing that I don't like versus a thing that I think is bad. However, you'll notice you almost will always need to use brake to drift to get around tighter corners. Almost always. I really hold no memories of ever having a vehicle that I did not need to drift around corners with. I don't remember a single one. And that kind of driving mechanic and the way it is just makes every car feel so bland and so much so the same. And going back to this comparison between Burnout and Need for Speed, Burnout being the game that is way far in terms of how arcade it is, right? It's much more arcade than Need for Speed and even Most Wanted 2012.
Yeah.
The cars feel more different in Burnout than they do in Most Wanted. You can have a car that you don't need to drift around it. You don't really need brake to drift. The Montgomery, what is it, 2400 something. I don't know. Some car I remember in Burnout, and it didn't really require that you have to brake to drift everywhere. And that kind of that actually gave you the option. You can pick which car you want. Rather than in Most Wanted 2012, every car kind of feels pretty close to the same. And I want to hear your opinion on that.
Well, just give me a sec. I'm eating. I was eating as you were talking about. I finished.
Professional
Bruh,
podcast.
You
bro.
gotta
Let's
time
go.
it. When,
Yeah, I was
when
Let's
trying
go.
to. I was trying to like
when we
chew.
get-
I was like, as I could sense you were finishing up. I'm like increasing my chewing speed.
Oh my
like,
gosh.
but nah.
Wow.
Yo, CJ, when Cam was on here, I was timing me eating my beans and hash browns. When we know and talk, I'll time it. And there was the
Oh
one
my
time I had to
gosh.
stop because I was choking. I was like, hell.
Oh
Yeah,
my
but
gosh.
on the topic of the handling and everything, I definitely agree. There's more so aside from the closest comparison I could give is Hot Pursuit 2010.
Okay.
There were cars on Hot Pursuit 2010 that feel completely different than cars than others in that game. And there are
Yes.
times that you're not going to be drifting around every corner.
Mm-hmm.
Most Wanted, I can't really say the same thing. You're going to be
Yeah.
drifting around every corner in that game.
Yeah.
But to
for
me-
sure.
That doesn't subtract from my enjoyment of the game, especially when I
Alright.
kind of look at it as like this game in its kind of like own league,
Okay.
It's not trying to be like an underground illegal street racer, even though that's exactly what you're doing. It's more so in its own league, and now that again we know the history of what was going on in the development woes of the game,
Yeah.
it's
for
still
sure.
really impressive to see just still how polished it was, despite the fact that they literally had to flip the game around.
Yeah.
like,
and
Yeah.
I don't mean like any negative thing I say about it. I don't mean to actually take away from their work. I just mean
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as a product. And I would make the argument that despite it being, I guess, as you said, in a league of its own, it's kind of unique hybrid of different gameplay styles, it would benefit as a whole to have different feeling cars rather
Definitely.
than it. Now, it doesn't have to, you said it doesn't, it wasn't trying to be an underground style game. like Underground 2, Most Wanted, Carbon, etc. And
Mhm.
that's true, but it doesn't have to feel like those in order to have a handling model that allows for cars to feel very unique. And so, again, look at Burnout. Burnout is definitely not like underground street racing, but it still had,
Paradise,
you
100%.
drove a Kitano Toge, and as the name suggests, it's extremely drifty. You drive,
Paradise.
the WTR, the F1 car, and it sticks to the ground. And
Or
you
what
know,
about the Jensen? How that thing's a fucking real shit
yeah.
to drive. It's
Oh
quick
my
though.
gosh.
It can actually compete with like cars with way better stats if you can control it. But if
Actually,
you boost with it, it's like, oh,
talk about this.
Mhm.
Talk about this now. I do kind of take back half of what I said. There are some cars that definitely feel different than others. Like you take the
Okay.
Ford F-150 and
But
all
that's
that.
kind of
Like those
okay. I
cars.
was thinking about that too, but besides, the obvious, this car is way, way, way heavier and whatnot.
Well, I mean-
I never remembered feeling like a certain car feeling all-wheel drive or feeling rear-wheel drive. Even that.
Yeah, to that level, no. But there were cars that definitely, like, especially like the muscle cars, they took a bit more to handle, than like say an exotic or a tuner and all that.
I remember
Um,
the R34 feeling a lot better than the other ones in terms of handling. You could like
Yeah.
thrash out a lot more. But also, I want to add with stuff with Most Wanted being lacking in these ways. I think it just generally to do that, it was obviously kind of delayed, and they
Yeah.
kind of had to hash out a game that was completely different to what was originally planned. Because I'm guessing all of you have seen all those leaks of like
Oh, yeah.
artwork and gameplay of like what it was meant to be, and it's meant to be a proper sequel from the old game with returning characters and story. But obviously, EA had to just get something out for
You know what's weird
2012.
about that?
Yeah.
It's like a Most Wanted too, but wasn't it Carbon?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like I
don't
guess it would be
know.
like, oh, what did you do after Palmon or some shit? I don't know.
Now I
Maybe.
think just because of the
But it was with that vision.
it
Yeah,
was
that's the crucial.
I think it's because of the 7th generation and they wanted like better graphics and all that kind of stuff. I guess, or better
Maybe.
world. I don't know.
Yeah, again, that being said, this isn't to take away anything from their work. I'm just trying to look at it as if I am biased, probably biased against it, but I'm trying to not think about the other things. Now, that being said, am I going to look at it as a whole and see it differently now, knowing what it went through, basically through game development hell? Of course I'm not going to judge it in terms of, like, oh, this is bad, the developer should have done this and that and the other thing. But I am going to look at it as a product and try to analyze it and, understand why, you might like it, and sort of explain why I don't. And, the handling model is just one of the things. Now, one thing I used to make the argument that Most Wanted 2012 had basically zero progression. It does technically have some. You need a certain amount of speed points to challenge the Most Wanted list, and you cannot, because of the fact that you can't do every race in the same car, you can only do a certain amount of them. You have to collect cars. So
Yep.
via car collection, there is progression. But could
Oh,
it
you
have
hate
been
that.
done
Mhm.
much better? Absolutely. What I think
Definitely.
would have been amazing is you only have fairly, like low-end sports cars unlocked at the very beginning of the game. You defeat, let's say, 2 people on the Most Wanted list. You now unlock more cars. More cars appear around the open world. So, take your slightly faster ones, etc. Then, instead of 5 minutes into the game, you find a Lamborghini. You have to play the game a bit, and then once you're a few bosses away from beating the game, then you can find a Lamborghini on the road. Does that make sense?
Do you know what's funny about that? You say that like, oh, it's just an example. No, you really can just find the fucking Gallardo
You
on the road,
really
like
can.
right at the
Just
start. I
find
did.
it.
I did. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just chilling there.
Yeah.
Like,
Was that higher?
I mean, like and that's another point, like, interesting to bring up. It feels a lot like Forza in that aspect, where you can
Yes.
literally use any car to beat any
That's
any
probably why.
person.
Yeah.
Is this
And-
where Div's hatred of
And also another thing, like if your EA account is connected to like Origin and everything, and you boot that game up on another platform, I'm pretty sure it's just gonna save all your data, so you'll have all the bosses unlocked, and you can just go right from there.
Oh, that's
You
got
see,
it already on,
actually,
PS3.
my EA Origin accounts got mixed up in this, that, and the other thing. So, but that's whatever. I'm not bothered about that.
Yeah.
But again, that would, if I had experienced that would again just kind of contribute to the lack of progression. And while there is some, I think it was poorly implemented. If you do it in a way where you can progressively find faster and faster cars the more you play the game, then it would actually make car exploration more exciting. Because imagine, right, you just beat, I don't know, the third boss, and now like Lamborghinis and whatever cars are out there. Now you're excited. Now you're like, okay, I'm gonna go looking around in different areas. That adds replay value. You can now research through other areas of the map you hadn't done so before to find those cars. You know, so
That's cool.
that would be a really great idea. Completely missed on that, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, could it be like if you get messages or whatever, it's like, yo, after your like Lotus win, these have been popping up around the city. Go check them out. And what'd be cool is if they just had like a question mark. You had to actually go
Ooh,
see.
yeah, you don't know what it is, but you know it's faster. Yeah, that would be awesome. You know, some other things. I think map design. As far as road width, I think it accommodates for the car's handlings. Or the handling of you know the cars in the game, but one again with this whole I understand now that you know you guys don't see the Burnout and Need for Speed comparison so much, and although I still do, this is where my points are coming from. You know, with the addition of jumps and billboards and smash gates and stuff like that, you see, I'm not gonna argue whether or not they suit Need for Speed, but it doesn't feel right. And I think the reason it doesn't feel right is because it's not as arcade as something like Burnout, where you can just quickly drift around a corner, a really tight turn, and then you know lock back in and grip, and then you know go get to a jump and billboard, whatever. Whereas in Need for Speed, it's kind of a little sluggish feeling, a little awkward and weird. You know, like imagine a simulator where you had to collect billboards by smashing to them, right? That would be so weird and tedious and annoying and not right feeling. Yeah, it would be. And Most Wanted 2012 is by no means a simulator. I need to make this point.
If it wasn't a sim, you'd probably have to be like, oh fuck, using a road car. Okay, where's the R4 WRC cars? And even then, it would feel janky.
Yeah, but like,
and actually, you know how you talked about the Burnout Need Speed comparison?
Yeah.
I have an interesting opinion because like I've said personally, just to use, I'm a bit indifferent to that game. I wouldn't see any differently whether it be rebranded. I'd just be, oh, this is a pretty like alright game.
All right, fair. You know, I think in general, if it was a better game, it wouldn't matter too much to me what the name is.
Neither.
And what it's branded under. But again, Most Wanted 2012 is by no means at all a simulator. By no means. That's not what I'm saying. But like zero. But what I'm saying is it doesn't feel as arcadey. It doesn't feel as the handling isn't as tight. It doesn't. It feels so weird and off. And
do you know how
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I know exactly what you're looking for. The term you're looking for is it's like the freedom of Burnout. You can rip a huge fucking drift like half a kilometer wide and then drift off a ramp and land fine.
Yes.
Like it's like that. It's like the freedom of what you could do with the car. It's stunt run.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know, imagine
you feel locked in, kinda.
Most Wanted 2012's map has enough jumps and stuff for there to be a stunt run type mode. Can you imagine stunt run in Most Wanted 2012? Like, just imagine in your head how much that would feel, right? Yeah, exactly. And here's another thing.
Visualize that now.
Yeah. So it didn't need to have that in there. They could have spent more time on maybe more cars, maybe more progression, more story. Which, man, we still got to get to story. More map instead of just jumps and billboards and stuff. And here's another thing: the incentive for getting all of these things is you get more speed points, which are fairly easy to get through races to get higher up in the most wanted list. Maybe against your friends. Obviously, with someone who didn't have friends on their PSN and whatnot back then, yeah, I guess that wouldn't matter. But understanding now its purpose, fair enough. But here's the thing: in Burnout, you collect 400 smash gates. You know what you get? A car. You get a car completely made of carbon fiber that is better than its original version in many aspects and whatnot. I think they always did a boost conversion for 500 smash gates. I think you got a carbon fiber Carson GT concept or something like that. For
I remember
all of
you got the GT, the Jensen, and
Yeah,
fuck, there was a third one.
The Jansen X12 made out of carbon fiber. I remember that car specifically had a boost, or no, not a boost, a speed stat of 7, which very few cars in that game post version 1.9 update have. So that made it very unique. And then the other car for billboards is a carbon Montgomery Hawker. So that, you know, and all of these have their, it's a real incentive for it. And I understand that not many people, you know, when I was playing Burnout Paradise for the first time, I didn't know about the fact that you unlock these cars, but I wanted to anyway, right? Regardless of whether or not I get something out of it, I wanted to anyway because the gameplay was designed so that it was just fun. It was fun to collect these, smash these billboards. It was fun to get smash gates. It was fun to find the super jumps. And lo and behold, there's a great incentive for it. Most Wanted 2012, it felt like a chore. It felt like a chore just because of the gameplay mechanics. It's just not, you know, like with jumps and stuff being a thing in Need for Speed Heat. It does not belong. It just feels weird. It doesn't fit. It doesn't have that ghost handling and like all the bugs and the clipping and all this and that. You know, I did all of the I did the collectibles to get the 488 Pista, which was pretty good incentive, but I only did it for that incentive. I didn't do it because it was fun, right? And because of that, it's, you know, in Most Wanted 2012, if I had to get all the smash gates, I would only do it for the incentive, and it would feel like a chore, just like getting collectibles and Heat felt like a chore. Except
jokes on me, I couldn't even unlock the Pista.
Yeah,
One speed trap didn't work for me.
Oh yeah, I heard.
I tried,
Game's
but I got
broken.
bored. Oh, I didn't even get to that part. Like I gave up.
It wasn't worth it, man. I wasted quite a few hours of my life, and then it just didn't fucking work. And the EA guy just said, "Let you fuck off, restart the game."
Just play the game all over again.
So what you gotta do is you gotta restart the game. You gotta punch in some codes. You gotta mail let a congressman. Yeah.
Phone up your local congressman and see what they can do. Need for Speed for America.
Get the National Guard.
Yeah.
Just send the SWAT team.
Yeah.
You're talking about Need for Speed. Shall we talk about the latest, like, update?
There is that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's get into that real quick.
Yeah.
Let's get into that quick. I do not care at all. That's it. That's the end of my part about the.
I cannot. I want to care. I can't. I cannot sit here. Like I said in my video, I cannot sit here and say on a good conscience that the future of this game is bright because it's not. This game is
murky as shit. It's
dog
shit.
Yeah.
I can only pray at this point that Criterion does not let us down. But I've been burned so many ways from Sunday since 2015 with Payback and Heat that like I'm honestly like, here's the thing, and this hurts me as a content creator because I made my channel around Need for Speed and all that.
Yeah.
And here's like, even though like the Crew 2 does me so well in terms of views, I fucking hate playing that game. That game is dog shit.
Shout out to the Crew 2 videos.
What a sunken place.
Oh man.
But like no, like it really makes me reconsider like what my position on YouTube is. Like that's why I've been kind of like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been kind of taking a back seat to YouTube mainly. I've been maybe only putting like one video a week or so. That's mainly because I'm focusing on streaming. I'm focusing on kind of branching myself out because you're like, so like, what can you do for the past 3 years? All being a Need for Speed racing game content creator has already been, game gets announced. Okay, let's make some videos about the game, hyping it up. Game comes out, it's dog shit. Okay,
now
make a bunch of videos why this game is shit, and then repeat.
Just prepare for the Crew 3, I think. To be fair.
And I think Need for Speed Heat really isn't that bad. It's just
it's not.
It's a reactionary. It's it's how people work.
No, do you know what the thing is with Heat is? Oh, well, that's because they don't think. But honestly, with Heat, for me, it's like, bro, how many years has it been?
Yeah, that too.
Like,
for
me, it's not reactionary. It's more like it piles up after a while. Like it's CJ says, the hopelessness piles up.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't actually address that, I don't know, half the game is still useless. There's no increased rep limit. There's no reason to, bait cops and whatever.
Exactly.
Now, I do still occasionally if I hop on, mess with the cops because I think that's fun. But
That's the only
there
reason
has
I
to
play
be there has to be a gaming incentive for it. There has to be a designed like a calculated, here is what you do and
Need,
why you do it.
Need
But
for
there isn't
Speed
that.
Heat is like a stick without a carrot.
What?
No, you know how they say like the carrot on the stick, like the incentive to do
Okay.
something? Yeah, it's a
I'm
stick with no fucking carrot.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, where's the carrot?
And I'm
Yeah.
not, and now with Ghost being shut and everything, I am not gonna sit here and say that, oh, this is Heat's off to a good start. Like, no,
No,
like I'm not.
no,
I can't. I
no.
can't sit here and
It's
say
ended
that.
as well.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
pretty much
not in a
ended.
good place.
Here's the
Holy
thing.
shit.
This is all I'm gonna say. If they come out with more content, I'm gonna be surprised. Like, it's gonna come to a shock to me.
Yeah, and
I think they will,
yeah.
but it's gonna take a few years, man. Like, I'm thinking of updating the game and not even like playing it because it's just boring. Like the Crew 2.
yeah.
Exactly.
With
What a sunken place.
with this update, one of the reasons why I'm not so mad, I just really don't care, is because I don't have that much time, so I'm honestly thankful that I have stuff going on, so I don't have to actually like
Play
sit
this
down
dog
and yeah.
That's what I'm saying, pretty much.
It's
Same.
not that bad, but here's the thing: would it be cool if you could now do races with your car without more than like 400 plus races, so you don't have to go back to your garage and get a slower car or downgrade? Yes. Would it be cool if if the economy was more balanced, so you didn't do one race and get 70 grand? Yes. Would it be cool if nighttime racing had a purpose? Also, yes. Would
The
it be
thing
cool
is,
if
you're
there's
asking
PvP?
too
Would it be
much.
cool?
Do
But
you think
Yeah, you
well,
too. I think he's fucking
and you see,
idiot.
the
too much.
reason why I don't care anymore is because I thought about it. I was like, would they actually make any meaningful changes to it? No. So it's all right. I don't care.
No.
Nah.
I heard they changed the end race animations for some of the races. That's a
Wow.
high
Wow.
priority.
Wow.
A big percentage of the
There's
player
only
base
so many
really wanted
times I
that.
can see my character do the same like smile at camera animation
Yeah,
after I win a
take a
race.
selfie.
Yeah,
If you can do
that's
that would be perfect, I think.
That
like,
saves the game right there.
yeah, exactly.
100%.
Also, the last update, the chat wheel, wow, transformed
Oh,
my
no, you mean the
experience.
Love that.
yeah, the update, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
patch, yeah.
It's not. It's a patch. Ugh.
Even though
Oh
the
my
server would
gosh.
close every few minutes for that saved the game.
And so again, I don't really care because, I wanted things, but I wasn't expecting them. No, I'm not expecting Ghost to make any, or whoever. I don't care, Ghost, Criterion. I don't care who you are.
Same
I
thing,
want a
honestly.
good
Like,
product.
most of Ghost went to Criterion.
Yeah. Anyways, but it's I
Oof.
just really don't care anymore. Also, what is that noise in the background? CJ.
What?
I was hearing this
Oh.
weird noise in the background, and
Oh,
I'm accusing you. I'm putting you on the spot.
Again, this is my my OCD. I have to be fiddling with shit.
Okay.
So I have my PS here.
Hey, you
I
know
found
what?
I was
the other
like,
day.
Yeah.
shit, is the 360 pad? Oh, it's a crap. Fuck.
Hey, you know what, CJ? You do you. That's fine, man. That's fine. You
Nah,
do
yeah.
whatever you want. Yeah. So Need for Speed update. Don't care at all. Was not expecting much,
Nah.
and yeah, I got what I expected. Nothing.
We've been burned so many times that like at this point, I'm literally playing fucking Farming Sim 2019 more than playing Need for Speed
Dude,
Heat.
like about the idea, the concept of us being burned so many times. You can't really set, just a pile of ashes on fire, right? That's how I feel right now. I
Like-
don't.
And it's a big shame because again, I grew up with this series. Like this series has been with me for like at least 10 plus years now, like 15 plus years. So like just sitting here seeing like how it's not getting the attention it deserves and how it's just going through development hell. It's very like I feel sad, like like
Yeah.
even though like I at this point I can't really care much about Heat, but like I really wish it wasn't like this. If I really wish, instead of making a bunch of videos talking about why this is bad, I'd rather be making videos with the boys, playing the game, having fun.
Yeah, but
And we had that for a bit when Heat first came out,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
like, and that's something we didn't even have with Payback because we didn't even do that with Payback because Payback was just so poo pee pee that like I couldn't even like
Yeah,
tolerate
Payback
that.
was
So
fairly bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Heat is definitely a step in the right direction, but it's not even a step. It's more so like
That's what I think. The half step.
a little
Mm,
trot.
No, I would to give it
Oh.
credit. I would say it does because the story makes a little bit more sense. The handling model doesn't require that you drift
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Performance isn't RNG based and stuff and such and so
Yeah,
forth. Cops
don't
are
get me
actually
wrong.
threatening and everything.
That's
I think
the
they
scary thing
made
about that is it's
good
like-
progress, but now they just kind of let it to die. Like
They,
Yeah.
they went, no, they
left
went
it to die.
stagnant. They didn't use the momentum they had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then also, who knows? Maybe this thing with Ghost shutting down happened, and only came to light. Like it happened when the game first came out, and it only came to light recently. We don't know that, but really,
Yeah, that's a bit of a bra moment.
all we can pray for, again, putting my 12 years of Catholic school education to use. All we can pray for at this point is that Criterion leads us
Is that
to
the Lord?
a better Need for
Okay.
Speed in 2020. What 2021? We're up to 2021 now.
Yeah.
Like
P35.
again. All right, can't wait to wait another 2 years for a chance to see if Need for Speed succeeds or not again.
What a
Yay.
sunken
Yeah.
place.
This
Again,
time I really
in the
don't
meantime, I'm trying to like branch out with content. I'm creating more, especially with my truckers FM position. I've been gaining some more momentum in the trucking community. I've been doing a lot of American Truck Sim streams, a lot of farming sim streams. Like heck, I streamed for 12 hours over winter break. I streamed Need for Speed, American Truck Simulator, all a lot. My viewership peaked when I was playing American Truck Sim. I think to me
Oh
that
my
says
gosh.
something.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that really does.
Escape. Run.
And
Run
the thing
while
with
you still
American
can.
Truck Sim is they're live streaming like every month. They're like every week or two, they're giving new updates about what they're doing, or they're teasing new stuff. They're always interacting with the community. They have forums, they have open betas and everything. You may not like American Truck Sim or like the type of game that it is,
No, the thing
but
I
at the
remember
same
you telling
time,
me,
the amount of community interaction there is so good compared to what we have here. Like,
100%. You know, we
Yeah,
already
that's the thing
our
I respect
second
about the game.
our second episode here was entirely dedicated, or pretty much dedicated to Flaming Max, and I'm really close to doing that again. Because holy
Yeah,
cow,
fucking dick.
I
you
don't
stop
blame you.
like Max. Okay, come closer. You know, tell your family, like tell them to like, hey, keep it down. You need to listen to this. Okay, stop with the posting of like. You cut out Shaw's and the character in Heat in his face and then put it on another meme and like, oh, here's a funny thing for the kids to laugh. Stop it! Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And honestly, Max, if you're listening to this, I feel sorry for you because I just, one day you're gonna look back at all of this and you're gonna be really just let down. And you know what? I feel sorry for you. And we need to have a 12-step community management program for Max. We need a 12-step program. You stop posting pictures with Need for Speed like crap, just like the thinking emoji, but it's a pole star, like all of that stuff. You get rid of all that. Slowly. Max, I believe in you. You can be a better man, and I will help you. Every step of the way, just give us the chance, okay? All right,
man,
all right.
step 2, stop sleeping on my timeline.
Oh yeah, no. Simping is illegal. When I get my American residency, I'm gonna run for presidency, and that's gonna be my fucking campaign. Stop
Simping's
simping.
illegal.
There you go. That's a felony now.
Oh
Like,
my God.
On a real level.
honestly, I
Like,
will legitimately make it a
on a
felony.
real level, like I feel bad for him, but it's like in the position he's in, he's obviously in a shitty position. Like where like the game, he knows they're not doing anything with the game, but he can't just go out and say that. But also at the same time, it doesn't give him the right to just sim all the
by the
time
way-
on my timeline.
It's weird.
Your mic quality.
It's actually like weird levels.
I
It's
think
actually
it's fine.
weird levels.
Yeah, I have him blocked. I don't want to see simping on my timeline. It's illegal.
All right,
like,
so
kind of
so
weird.
enough of roasting poor Max again. I wanted to get back to the main topic just for a little bit more. So I think you mentioned something about the cops in Most Wanted 2012. So what is your opinion on them?
They're again. I think when you compare them to Payback or 2015, very good. I wouldn't rank them as high as Heat's cops though. Although cops in Most Wanted 2012 do have a better tendency of keeping up with you when you're in a higher end car. Just something I like. And also, like, you have the classic heat level system. Heat level 1, you have Crown Vic. 1 and 2, you have Crown Vics. 2 and 3, you have Dodge Chargers. And 4 and 5, you have Corvettes. And then you also have Rhino units who come in the form. What is it?
Yeah, your microphone is a little bit fumbling, but I think. Hold on.
Hold up.
Yeah. See if we can do something here real quick.
Sounds fine on my end.
Yeah. I think it actually might just be my connection.
Yeah.
My connection.
But you also have like the typical what's it called, Rhino units. You have the SWAT vans that come after you. Like you literally have like, I like how they kind of mixed in hot pursuit tactics along with like the classic Most Wanted formula. Like in terms of pursuits, like you'd have the Heat level 5 cops, but they go in front of you, lay down spike trips and everything. Like they put them out of their car, that type of stuff, and that really kind of like cops would chase after you during events and everything. It felt like it was fun. It was like chaos everywhere, but it was still really fun. I really enjoyed the cops for what they were. Although Heat level 1 and 2 cops, you had to leave them on. They were super easy. Like it would be weird. Like they can never keep up with you, but then the moment you start keeping up with you, they just start smashing into you and cause you to crash.
Yeah, and they in Heat's cops, they tap you and then they take out half your health, and it's just bizarre. But okay, if you want me to be honest, Most Wanted 2012's cops, besides Need for Speed 2015's cops, are the worst cops I have ever experienced in any game ever. Making a big statement here. You tap them and then take down. Like you tap them. That's all it is, right? Some of the what's it called, the roadblocks are really cheap. If it's the SUV things, it doesn't matter if you like slowly like tap them, it'll give you a crash camera. It'll give you a crash, and that's we didn't even talk about those. But you see, with all of these things in mind, it's just not like they are extremely easy unless you bait them all the way to heat level 6 or whatever it is, and then wait till SWAT vans come after you. Then even then, it's not that difficult. Again, you slightly tap into them, take down. I replayed it last time. It was unbelievable. I cannot defend the cops in any way. However, in the ambush missions, the cops were actually a bit tougher, I think. I don't know for sure. Why they didn't just copy the cop AI from ambush mode to the normal open world, I have absolutely no idea, but there you go. I really, really don't like Most Wanted 2012's cops. I thought they were way too easy. And I wanted to go into the, what's it called? Crash cameras. You see, in Burnout, crash cameras were pretty decent. And the reason why is because I think the point of it is to kind of give the racer, I guess, like a counter incentive. Whatever. There's a word for it. I'm blanking. To avoid driving too recklessly, so that you actually focus and try to dodge traffic and whatever. But there's always like all this carnage happening and everything, and then sometimes you get a cutscene, a crash camera in Burnout where it says drive away instead of wrecked, which means you actually maybe pay attention to what's happening so that you'll be able to drive away from it, so you know what direction to go into. In Most Wanted 2012, they wanted to take away the incentive to drive recklessly, so that you have to pay attention to what's going on and avoid traffic. But the way they did this is you hit something and your car just sits there for a full second, and it's infuriating, right? You should make a way to, I guess, have the player decide, okay, I'm losing time, and so I shouldn't want to do this, without making them irritated. And I understand that, hey, it's a licensed game, or it's a game with licensed cars. They can't show the same wreckage that you can in Burnout. So find a different way, right? In Midnight Club LA, it can be frustrating if you hit a lamppost or something like that, but I'm not sitting there for a full second watching my car just sit there, right? What's happening is my car's, flipping or doing whatever the heck it's doing, but it's not. If I get irritated, it's because of my mistake, and I don't get irritated at something else. Does that make any sense? So yeah, I think with crash crash cams and honestly in all Need for Speed games, I don't remember any time ever thinking, oh, this should have been here. That never occurred to me. It always felt like a completely unnecessary thing. However, I want to hear what you have to say about it, because I remember someone saying, yeah, that's true, but because it's irritating, it provides even more of an incentive to not crash. So I want to just kind of hear your perspective on that real quick.
For me,
Ooh.
it's a bit different because I kind of like I'm using this example because Cam was literally talking about it earlier today in the call we were in. With 2015, a lot of people don't like the crash cams and physics and those, but like if you're actually like if you sit down and focus on the game, then it's not a big issue. And that's for me like how it is with Most Wanted 2012 and how you were using your example of focusing with Midnight Club LA.
Yes.
That's kind of what I did with Most Wanted 2012. I would focus to the point where like the crash cams that
really
wasn't that became a non-issue because I wouldn't experience them as much as
and I think yes, the crash cams are irritating, but I guess in your case they provided an incentive to, hey, I need to actually focus and do everything. My point is that although that's true in that you no longer have that issue in and of itself is still there. What I mean is in Midnight Club you didn't have crash cameras, right? But you still have the same issue of you have to focus and make sure you're doing well. So what they do is they don't have crash cameras, but they make crashes somewhat devastating. In terms of your races, you can badly mess up a race, be it a pink slip race or whatever. To add, the point being, crash cameras are unnecessary because there are other, and in my opinion, smarter ways of dealing with the issue rather than implementing a crash camera. So,
and you know what's funny about that?
Say. Yeah.
I swear that's one of the features everyone has wanted in Need for Speed for ages. Well, most people. Fucking pinks.
Pink slips.
Like, imagine.
Oh my god, yeah.
Fuck a crash cam. Imagine barreling into a barrier, no crash cam, and you have to now sit with your full HUD and watch this guy take your car because he just crossed the line.
Oh,
that's way worse.
What's worse for me? This reminds me. I've been playing a lot of competitive Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, and basically in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, you have your crash cams, right? Well, what can happen is if you're getting chased by someone and you crash, that cop can just roll up to you and instantly bust you. So you just have to sit there and pray that this cop doesn't arrest you as it's happening.
That's a little
like real life.
I don't know. That's both an incentive to not crash, but also I don't know. I would have to think more about that. But in any case, I think for Most Wanted 2012's sake, it really did not benefit at all from having crash cameras. The incentive to drive more cleanly could have been implemented in a different way. I really do. I think it's a net negative. In any case,
it's just a double negative, essentially. Like, I crash and I get fucked, or if I don't,
to me, it's just kind of it's there. I don't really care.
The truth is, if you CJ, from the way you've described it, if you avoid the issue, you no longer encounter it. So this issue doesn't necessarily 100% apply to you, which is great. You've gotten better at the game. You're not gonna come into contact with crash cams and whatever, and that's great. But the problem is just that as a product, with Most Wanted 2012 being that it has these crash cams and how it could have had a different system, I just think that's a negative. And so while that may not necessarily impact your experience, as an object, I think that makes Most Wanted 2012 worse. That's kind of my my view of crash cams in Most Wanted. But yeah, we're a little short on time. I wanted to mention the story for real quick. I think we can all agree here, story is not Most Wanted 2012 strong suit. Nope.
Yep.
It's definitely not. But you want me to be honest about something? You want me to be honest about something? You know what's weird? Why is it that Most Wanted 2012, which many would agree has one of the worst stories in all Need for Speed games, still has all of these boss battles? Boss races, and in Need for Speed Heat, the last mission is like a takedown style mission.
Burnout,
but it's not even like Burnout, because in Heat it's jankety and broken, and you don't like. It's not satisfying like scoring a takedown. It's just weird and
it's like, damn, this was the end of the game. What a piece of fucking shit.
Exactly. Why couldn't they? Man, I can't even explain the memories of beating Razor for the first time, beating Darius for the first time, even like Kenji for the first time. All of these things.
The memory of
Most
taking
Wanted
down
Racer
Officer
number
Man.
10. Generic white car. Oh yeah, good memories. You know?
A generic white car.
Yes.
Nah,
All
A
bosses.
European supercar.
Yeah.
All bosses
mean-
in Most Wanted 2012 had exactly the same paint, basically. I guess they just generic white cars.
I did like the cool intro sequence video. The quite
Oh, it
Yeah,
felt
those
like
are
you
actually
were
pretty
high,
interesting.
or
Those
like-
were hard as
felt like you
hell.
were high on something like PCP.
Yeah,
Like,
they
you
were
talked
on
about-
something when they made
PCP.
those.
PCP
Those
boys.
were amazing. Like I remember there was one where you're at the airport and you're running from the cops and there's a bunch of SWAT vans following you, and then the next scene, all the SWAT vans conform into like this giant transformer.
Oh,
They're chasing
yes.
after you.
Oh my
They're jumping
gosh.
over buildings and shit.
Hey.
Like
Say
Even
what you
though-
want about Most Wanted 2012. Their video art direction and all that.
that was perfect.
That
Yes.
is that where it all went.
It's a little
Oh.
weird, but hey,
Where all the
whatever.
money went?
Yeah.
It's like you can describe Heat as a rush drawing. Like at the start, you put loads of time into it, it looks photorealistic. Then at the end, it looks like a potato or something.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever? Oh, have you ever done
man.
Have you ever done the? I can't remember what it's called. I just call it in threes, where every single day you draw one part over 3 days, 1/3 of the drawing. And I remember we did that. I'm like, what the fuck happened on day 2? It's like that. It's like, huh? I have a stroke.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
That sounds
man.
scary, that one. Oh dear.
Yeah. All right. So, we're pretty close to the end here. I think, although I definitely have a lot of issues with Most Wanted 2012, I think we can all agree to that to some point it was polished, and that being that it does have a fan base, it did succeed in some sense. I think everyone can agree there.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
regardless of our opinions on it, I think, well, it's part of Need for Speed history. We can't take away from that. So
Exactly.
there you go.
We can learn from it.
Yeah.
Learning
And when people say, "Oh, this isn't Need for Speed," does Need for Speed not the fuck Need for Speed is? It's always had identity crisis.
Boom, right there. Dude,
It's literally
they had-
never had one solid identity.
They had
Yeah.
they had 2015 the reboot, like this perfect clear cut definition of what Need for Speed is from
Exactly.
the future, and then Payback.
No, you just fucked it up with payback. Like, that's
Like,
the people
it didn't
want.
follow it
that
at
shit,
all, except for the
That's
fact that
why
there was
it was that whole
customization.
thing.
should have its own identity. Like, because obviously he's been through loads of different things. They shouldn't just make it be one thing, because obviously there's one part of it and one generation of
I feel
people.
like Need for Speed can be whatever the fuck I want at this point.
Like
Yeah.
in terms of identity, I think Heat is a good follow up from 2015. It kept the urban underground car culture, but focused a little bit more on cops and this, that, and the other thing. But like Payback, we're back to the identity crisis, like you were saying again. Man. All right, so it was a pleasure talking to you, CJ. Even though we disagreed on stuff, this is incredibly enjoyable, and I really hope
Right.
anytime we're always here. Hit us up, see what we can do.
Yeah,
This
bless
is-
it.
Vermin Sermon is eternal.
Yeah, yes. Everlasting
yeah.
is the Vermin Sermon.
The soul of Drivecast lives on in the Vermin Sermon.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah. So, this is great. I hope to have you on again. And
Hell yeah.
On that note, we will all see you guys in the next one.